Hey everyone, Retire on Dividends here. I'm back for another guesstimate video. This time it's for Group A. So back we go to Group A. But first, obviously, let's talk about some dates. And let's talk about, who's declaring. So Group A, they declare on January 22nd, 2025. Obviously, that's, Wednesday. And then ex-dividend date will be the Thursday, and then payment date will be the Friday, the 24th, okay? So if you look at who's declaring, they added LFGY next to Ymax and Ymag, and then they say Group A ETFs, all right? So LFGY, Ymax, and Ymag, they're kind of listed like that because they're weekly. Group A, they're not weekly. They pay every 4 weeks. So if you want to see who's in Group A, you scroll down further down below, and they have everyone going here. So they have TSLY, Crash, GUI, YBIT, OARK, Zomo, SNOI, TSMY, and then they recently added those Dorsey Wright funds, FEAT and FIVY. And you guys kept asking me, can you do an estimate for this and that? And I'm like, why? I'm thinking, why? And then I'm looking, I'm like, well, I guess they are part of Group A. And to be honest, it's not really that hard to do their guesstimate. So after much requests from you guys, I have added to the guesstimate for Group A. But keep in mind, I just did it this morning. Like, it literally just did it before this video, so I kind of rushed it. So if I screwed something up, I'll fix it the next go around, all right? All right, so that being said, let's get to the spreadsheet, all right? All right, so again, we're going to talk about Group A. So let me try to get everything we need into the picture. Guesstimate yield, implied volatility. Yeah, that should be good. Yeah, that's perfect. All right. So Group A, they are led by none other than TSLY. Now, yeah, I'm going to have to go back to my TSLY spreadsheet in a second, but TSLY, they haven't had really any type of fantastic month. If you look at the gains per share, again, the gains pulling the last ex-dividend date, which is 12/27, up until says today, which was the last Friday, the stock, the ETF has gone down $1.14, right? So typically that's what we use as an indicator to what they're going to pay. However, you guys know I do track TSLY, so I can show you what I have been looking at there. And this is the, we look under, this is row 5 for payment 4. They have, no income. They lost 62 mil in synthetic, and then they lost 32 mil in the short call income. So they have lost 94 million. So they have no income this time around. So they lost $1.10 per share. However, they do have a credit carry forward. They have a net credit carry forward of 193 million, which comes to 225 per share. So technically, they can use that. They could do whatever the hell they want, to be honest. They could pay you freaking $5. But obviously, they're not going to do that. They're going to be somewhat, reasonable in what they do. So since they have a 225 credit, you offset the 225 with the $1.10, right? And you get, you still get over $1. However, you also have to keep in mind what's going on with the synthetic currently. Right now, the synthetic position, the bailout money, if you add the two synthetic, the call and the puts, right, it's a negative 77 cents per share. So that's not necessarily in a positive position to bail them out. So technically, with, realized gains and on paper, they're down about $1.87 per share. So if you take out the $1.87 from this, 225, obviously it's not going to be anything fantastic. It's not going to be over $1. So I did take all of that into consideration before I did the guesstimate. And again, I'm just sharing this because I try to tell you guys exactly what I'm thinking, whether right or wrong. It's just what goes through my insane mind. and hopefully it helps out you guys. You know, the goal is to not have you guys rely on me, of course. The goal is to try to, you know, hopefully teach you a thing or two about how these funds work, especially like it is fun guessing though. I mean, this is obviously my most popular video, and I appreciate that all of you love this video because I do love making it. And it's actually one of my easiest videos, to be honest. And it's obviously, to me, it's very fun too, to guess and then see what they're going to pay and so on and so forth. But anyway, all that being said, TSLY paid $1.28 last time, okay? And then they paid $1.22 the time before that. So it's going to be a letdown. It's going to be under $1. That's my guesstimate. I'm going to say 88 cents. Their IV is 71%, all right? I gave them above their IV because of that little credit carry forward, again, which we saw is not, you know, anything that's going to help them significantly. But I really do not think they have any right paying over $1. That's just my thought, my opinion, which is why, you know, I had 91 cents up there for a second. And then I was like, you know what? Let's just do 88. Because, I mean, look at the price. It's at $14.49. Why pay over $1? Why push this down any further than it has to be? So, again, I'm going to go with 88 cents, which would be a 78% guesstimate yield. All right, moving on to OARK. OARK, I'm going to guess 31 cents. Again, we always go here and we look at the gains per share. They're in the negative. They lost 31 cents per share throughout the month. So, obviously, I'm not going to, you know, necessarily hold that against them, but I will just default to the IV. Their 30-day IV is 37%. So I'm going to give them a 38% guesstimate yield, which would produce a 31-cent payment, okay? Up next is GUI. GUI, let's see how they did for the month. They have gained 5 cents per share. Obviously, that's nothing, you know, too fantastic. So I'm going to give them a 44-cent payment, which would be a guesstimate yield of 37%. Their IV is 34%. Next is Zomo. Zomo, let's see how they did this month. They went up 50 cents. That's pretty good, actually. I don't know if I considered that. Let me see if I did. No, I didn't. All right, so they went up 50 cents this month. See, sometimes I make changes as I go. I guess I missed that one. So Zomo went up 50 cents. I gave a guesstimate of 26. So they did pay 50 week 3, and they paid 24 week 4. So 26 cents would give them a 22% yield. Their IV is 20%. I'm gonna give them a little higher, maybe high 30s. What do you think? I think high 37 cents. Let's see what that would be. That would be a 31% guesstimate yield. 37. Yeah, I'm safe. I feel safe with that. So again, because we don't know what they did with the trades, just because they went up in price doesn't mean they actually did any actual trades. So that could be all on paper. And if it's all on paper, they may not consider that when they're making their payment. Because as we've seen with the other funds, they typically only consider the higher payments when they make that, you know, the realized gains. So since we don't know that, I'm not going to give this thing 40 cents, 50 cents. I'm going to give it 37 cents, which is a 31% yield, 10% higher than the IV. So that's very generous. So I could be way off on this. Hey, but we'll see. All right, up next is YBIT. Let's see how YBIT did for this month. It did pretty good. It went up 88 cents. Their 30-day IV is 61%. So I gave them more than their IV. I gave them a 72% yield, which would produce a 75-cent payment. Obviously, you know, they made 88 cents, so I think they can more than cover it. But again, we don't know what trades they did. Also, 75 cents is an increase from the prior month. But the month before that, they did pay $1.26. This latest increase, obviously, I need to adjust this. This should now pick up AS minus AR divided by, AR. So for now, just ignore the latest increase. I'll fix that next time. All right, so what do? We did YBIT, obviously. So I'm going to give them a 75-cent guesstimate, which is a 72% yield. Up next is SNOY. SNOY had a pretty decent month as well. Let me capture only SNOY. So SNOY went up 73 cents, which for them is pretty damn good. Because if you look at the last payment, they only paid 56 cents, right? And the payment before that, they paid massively because they had, insane earnings. The underlying did, Snow. So, where are they going to pay? Since their IV is 36%, I decided to just boost it up a little. I gave them a 68-cent guesstimate, which would be a 46% yield, approximately 10% higher than their IV. All right, up next is TSMY. Let's take a look at how they did price-wise per share. Again, when I compare the price-wise per share, what I'm doing is I'm looking at the last ex-dividend date, right? And then, again, because to me, that's the start of the cycle. Because I also don't want to pick up the drop, right? I don't want to pick up, pre-drop. But anyway, it's the last ex-dividend date to the current date. So TSMY, negative 21 cents. So obviously, that's not going to help, me determine what they're going to pay. But I will just default to the IV. The IV is 32%. I gave them a little higher. I gave them a 36% yield, which would be around 55 cents. That's a drop. That's a decrease from the prior payment, of course. All right. Again, ignore this column. It's bugging the crap in me. I'm just going to fix it. So we got what? It should be AS. AS minus AR. So replace the AR with the AS. And then AQ with AR, right? See how much fun this is? All right, there you go. Now it won't bug me anymore. Because I feel like you guys are going to be looking at that like, what in the hell? All right, and then I'll do that further down on the other groups another time. All right, so where the heck were we? TSMY, I think I said 55 cents, 36% guesstimate yield. All right, up next is Crash. So Crash, inverse fund, of Tesla, TSLY, whatever, right? Let's see how they did this month. They actually went up 15 cents, but look at the price, man. The thing went down to $5.95. Brutal. What the heck did this launch at? $20? Yeah, this fund launched at $20.28, and it launched on May 1st, and it's already at $5. I mean, I don't know what else to say except this fund sucks. But I'm going to give it a guesstimate of 32 cents, and that's a guesstimate yield of 69%. Why is my guesstimate accuracy? That needs to be updated too. Pain in the ass. Oh, God. This spreadsheet, I love it. It's awesome, but it's a pain in the ass because I have to keep updating everything. All right, so Crash, like I said, 32 cents, 69% guesstimate yield. The underlying, obviously, is, Tesla. So Tesla's IV is 71%, so it's kind of around that IV. All right, up next is FEAT and FIVY. All right, so FEAT and FIVY, what do you need to know about them? So I did go through the website for FEAT and FIVY, and I figured out some things. So for some information real quick, they did launch on December 16th. Their launch price was around $50 for each of those. And then we'll, obviously they have the 52-week high and 52-week low. It looks like they went as low as $44, and now they did go up to $52. So that's pretty good. But now let's look at the guesstimate. So they don't have one individual underlying, right? They have multiple, and they have the same, right? So FEAT is the one where they're just covered call ETFs, right? They're going to do the Dorsey Wright Fund, right? They're going to invest in the 5 Dorsey Wright funds, whatever they turn out to be. The most qualified via the Dorsey Wright calculation. So whatever that is, it is what it is. You guys can research that yourself, or talk to the nerds at Dorsey Wright. I don't know. All right. So anyway, let's look at FEAT first. FEAT first, your favorite store. So for the Dorsey Wright, they currently own Coney, FIVY, Misty, Nefly, and TSLY. All right, so those are the 5. They're going to hold 5 of the funds. All right, so what I did here, all I did was simply I went to the holdings and I checked out the allocation. So, they hold 19% of it is Coney, 19.63% of it is FIVY, and so on and so forth, right? So whatever. That makes about 95% of the portfolio holding the covered call ETFs, which is fine. And then I got the IV of their underlying, which I put the underlying right next to them, right? Coney for coin, FIVY for meta. You guys know that. And then I did the allocation IV, which really should be the IV that I use, right? So if for example, Coney is 19% of the total portfolio of FEAT, again, this is as of Friday, of course, I'll multiply that 19% times that IV. The IV is of coin, of course, and I'll get 15%. So in reality, if I'm using the IV to make the guesstimate yield, I'm going to use that number. So I'm going to use 15% for Coney, all right? And then similar down the line, I'm going to use 9% for FIVY. I'm going to use 23% for Misty, 8% for Netflix, and then 12% for TSLY. Again, hopefully that makes sense. And then in the middle here, all I did is I averaged, right? I just averaged the IV as if they were all 100% of portfolio. However, they do own like that FGXXX, and they also own cash. So I'm gonna not use that. I'm just gonna use the allocation IV. Why not? So, and we could look at both, and based on the average and based on the allocation IV. So when we do get down to here, all right, so what do we get? Well, again, based on the average, the yield would be 70%. Based on the allocation IV, the yield would be 67%. Okay, FEAT fund is worth $48.18. So if I take $48.18, I multiply it by 70%, I get $33.79. Multiply by 67%, I get $32.27. And then I divide that by 13 payments, because again, they're part of Group A, so they're going to pay 13 times. I have two guesstimates now. The high guesstimate is 260. The low guesstimate is 248. I'm going to say, this is the number, 248, because again, it's based on the actual allocation. So I'm going to say the yield for FEAT would be 67%, and the payment or the guesstimate will be 248. So if I go here, I did put 248, which reflects a guesstimate yield of 66.98. Now, let's see. When did they launch? They launched 12/16. Let me see. When was the ex-dividend date? The last ex-dividend date, 12/27. So they did have a little extra time. So we can also keep that into consideration. But you know what? I'm just gonna leave it as is. If they pay more, great. But this is more about me understanding, and obviously trying to help you guys understand, how they're gonna pay. All right. So FIVY is the other one. FIVY is actually, let me freeze the panes here. I also want to freeze the top panes. Okay. So FIVY, they own the same funds, except the difference is they own the underlying as well. So they're not as risky, right? They own the underlying, so you have the upside of the underlying, but they also own the covered call ETFs. So that being said, their allocation to the covered call ETFs is much less. So for example, Coney, they only own 11% of Coney. So if I do the IV allocation, you're only getting 9%, right? 9% for that. Obviously, the other one, you're getting 15%. So they own 11% FIVY, 12% Misty, 10% Netflix, TSLY, 10%. So 56% of their current portfolio is covered call ETFs. The rest is mostly the underlyings. Obviously, I'm sure they have some cash and a bond in there or something. But regardless, in this example, we have to use the allocation IV. We can't use the average IV because, again, this is not most of the portfolio. This is half of the portfolio, essentially. So the allocation IV, which is, again, I'm going to represent it as the yield is going to be 40%, which is actually pretty freaking good, to be honest. And that's always my goal, 40% exactly. So the more I'm looking at this, I'm like, oh my God, this is my fund, right? So again, I'm taking a second, I'm looking at the underlyings, Coin, Meta, MSTR, Netflix, these are funds that are pretty damn stable. So the more I look at this, I'm like, okay, if you can get your margin maintenance down, I don't know what the margin maintenance is, but I think I might be interested. Okay, that being said, let's take a look here and see what's going on. So again, based on a 40% yield, you know what? Let me take, I can't even use this here, to be honest. It should not be used at all. So I'm going to clear that out. I don't want you guys to get confused. So the FIVY underlying, the ETF is worth $48.65. So you take that, multiply it by the 40%, you're going to get an annual payment of $12.79. And you divide that by 13, 1/13, right? 98 cents would be the guesstimate for FIVY, FEAT and FIVY. So yeah. So that's the guesstimate for FIVY, 98 cents, which again is a 20 times, what are we doing here? Times 13 divided by, all right, so the first one worked, what, 248, came to 67% yield. What do we got here? It should be L8 times F. What? This should be I10. Sorry. See? This is what I'm talking about since I've rushed it this morning. Okay. Oh, that's better. All right. That's much better, actually. Okay, now we're talking. Sorry, guys. Based on the 40%, multiply the 40%, again, times 48.65, which is the price of FIVY, 40% yield. The annual payment would be $19.28. And then you take that $19.28 divided by 13. So the $1.48, that's the guesstimate. All right, that's a little better than what we had there. I have a formula, so it picked it up automatically. So now let's look at the guesstimate yield. 39%, is that in sync? Yeah. Obviously, rounds up to 40. So, okay. Good. Thank God I caught that. I know one of you would have caught it anyway, but okay. So that's the guesstimate for FEAT and FIVY. And yes, I did that for you guys because you kept asking me. And it does make sense. So as they do, I guess, add funds to the groups, I guess it'll be part of my, calculation. It's not hard. I just pull up holdings and plug it in, and it wasn't that bad. All right, so that's the guesstimate for Group A. And of course, we have Ymax and Ymag. So Ymax and Ymag, they're going to pay based on what they've received from Group D, right? Group D, they paid last week, right? What did they pay? They paid an average yield around 54%. So how do I get that, right? I take all the yields from the actual yield over here. So Aptly 19% yield, AMZ 27% yield. But then you got these high suckers, SQUI 46% yield, AIYY 63% yield, Misty 99% yield, SMCY 90%. So, Ymax is going to have a good payment. However, if you see Aptly and AMZ, that's for Ymag, right? That's not going to be a super duper payment. But let's see what it comes to. So based on the information that I have, Ymax guesstimate payment for next week would be 18 cents. Ymag would be 10 cents. Hey, 10 cents not terrible. Better than 5, right? But again, sometimes, actually most of the time, my guesstimate on these is typically a little higher. So you may see something, maybe a 2 to 3 pennies less than that. But hopefully it's higher. You never know. All right, so that's the information on the guesstimate. Now I want to do some recovery rates. And I'll start with Group A since they're pretty much done. So again, this recovery rate, all it does, it just compares how much they recovered based on their last payment. Because they made a payment, obviously, last time. And we're showing how much they recovered from that last payment. Again, assuming our formulas are correct, right? Last payment would have been AR. So there you go, AR. So it's all picking up properly right there. All right. So AR, actually, I want to make sure. Are they all picking up AR? There's AR. AR. AQ. See, I know it. Freaking. People say, can you share this spreadsheet? I'm sorry, but no. And there's reasons, guys. Number one, it's just a lot of work. And number two, I change a spreadsheet every so often. So the problem with sharing a spreadsheet that changes this frequently is people going to ask, what'd you change? Or what'd you do this? And I can't do that. So that's why I'm not sharing the spreadsheet, and I'm sorry. All right, so that's corrected. So now it's picking up AR, and obviously, all right, let's go down the line. So let's look at the recovery rates for Group A. TSLY is in the negative. OARK's in the negative. We don't have to talk about them. GUI, they recovered 7.9%. Zomo recovered 207%. YBIT recovered 124%. SNOI recovered 128%. TSMY is in the negative, and Crash recovered 40%. All right, next is Group B. NVIDIA's in the negative, negative 46%. FIVY recovered 0. Again, whenever I see that, I'm like, there's something wrong. But again, I'll check it later. But let's just assume that's right. 0% recovery rate. Right? JPMO, 308% recovery rate. So good job, big bank. All right. Murni, oh, shocker, negative 390%. Wow, what a great fund you are. Get out. Seriously, get out. You freaking loser. GDXY, recovery rate, 145%. Baboo! 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 No, negative 47%. All right, Platy, negative 39%. Marrow, oh my God, you suck. Negative 389%. And Dips is positive 69%. Look at the inverse. Look at the inverse. All right, up next is Nefli. How you doing? Not too good. Negative 51%. Coney, positive 118%. Good job, Coney. Finally. All right, MSFO, positive 32%. All right, AMDY, what do we got? Negative a lot, negative 99%. PP, positive 42% recovery rate. ABNY, 82% recovery rate. Fiat, you suck, negative 114% recovery rate. And Ulti, 17% recovery rate. Yeah, Ulti, come on, man. Come on, do better. We're rooting for you, Ulti. All right, and last but not least, Group D. Keep in mind, Group D, they just freaking declared. So their last ex-dividend date would have been the Thursday, and we're comparing Thursday's open price to Friday's close price. So obviously, nothing, wow. How the hell is Aptly down that much? Good God. But Aptly has a negative recovery rate, 177% negative. AMZ, negative 2.5. Disso, negative 97. Good. What? Just freaking 2 trading days. All right, up next is everyone's favorite, Squee. All right, sorry. Positive 20% recovery rate. AIYY, 0. What is with these damn freaking 0 on the dot? All right, whatever. 0% recovery rate. What do we got? Misty, 65% recovery rate. Oh yeah. Well, crypto's been flying to the moon, especially Trump meme coin. It's blowing up. Oh, see, this is the problem of not being. I used to be down in the trenches of this crypto. When these meme coins come out, I wasn't this time, and here we are. I'm just watching it go up 15,000%. Everyone else get rich. All right, yay for me. All right. Anyway, SMCY, negative 44% recovery rate. YQQQ, negative 18% recovery rate. Now, let's see. I have, the clock kind of starts over on Ymax because the last ex-dividend date is no longer used. I'm using the new one, so I can't really do Ymax and Ymag recovery rate yet until they pay this next one, because I didn't capture the true last ex-dividend date from Group D, because technically that's where they start up to where they end. But regardless, I'll have one soon for Ymax and Ymag. All right. And also, I just want to show you guys, since Group D declared, I don't know if you saw my distribution video, this is the house money percentages. Check out Misty, man. They almost paid you back. Again, assuming you bought from inception, without dividend reinvestment. If you did dividend reinvestment, you'd have a crap load of money. But assuming take your dividends as cash, they would have paid you back 146% of your original investment. I mean, I know the underlying would have done better. You should always invest in the underlying, right? This is the argument. Guys, when people look at that, they look at the chart at the highs. Oh, but then you have to sell at the right point. Do you want to be a trader, right? No, I'm an income investor. So do I live off income through trading? No. Day trading? No. Swing trading? No. So again, that's a topic for another day. But let's just be happy, all right? Let's not automatically think, oh, what did the underlying do? Why don't we just look at what Misty did? Standalone Misty, right? What did Misty do? Misty paid you back 146%. From launch date, they launched 2/21. Hasn't even been a freaking full year. They paid you back 146% of your original investment. Again, don't compare it to anything else. Compare it to itself and think about that for a second. Just think about like how good your investment is doing, right? As much as people say these funds suck, hey, that's a pretty damn good investment right there. So great job if you own this from the beginning. Great job if you bought it on the dips. I mean, I'm sure you're doing well. So Misty, I mean, let's just take a moment and appreciate the power of the freaking Misty fund, man, because it is amazing. Anyway, moving on. Squee, believe it or not, they paid back 72%. That's pretty freaking impressive. AMZ, look at you, buddy. Look at you. Paid back 57%. So Group D, man, they're killers, man. They are killers. And they got SMCY. And I think they're going to make a comeback. But SMCY, they're recently launched and they took a dump, but they still paid back 23%. They're playing catch up, so what can you do? AIYY paid back 44%, Diszone 39%, and Aptly 37%. I'll just go through some other notables from the top. Ulti paid back 52% of the original investment, PP 51%, AMDY 65%, Coney 127%, again, another great investment. Netflix 59%. Why? Typically, it's the ones with a higher IV, that obviously pay back your original investment, because the higher the IV, the higher they could pay because they're making higher premiums. NVIDIA, of course, paid you back your original investment and then some, 127% house money. FIVY, 62%. FIVY also a really great fund. TSLY paid you back 75%. I know a lot of people think they got paid back their original investment from TSLY, but I'm sorry to say, guys, you did not, all right? So if you're wondering how much TSLY paid back from inception, they paid you $29.98, all right? So now, you could say I bought the fund at 20, but in reality, they did a reverse split. So, you have to look at the post-reverse split numbers. So technically, that being said, they launched at 40. So they did not pay 40. So that being said, they paid you back 75% of your original investment. All right, up next is OARK. OARK paid you back 57% of the original investment, which, again, TSLY and OARK, those were the first ones. They launched November 22nd, 2022. So TSLY is doing better than OARK. I know people love OARK still. I never really liked it. To me, it should do better. I guess it shows that, maybe ARK's crappy. I don't follow ARK. But OARK should be one of the best funds, in my opinion, and it's not. But actually, let's see what the current price is. What is the current price? 1047. So yeah, it's not. It didn't reverse split at least, but it's not doing. It could do better. But anyway, so that's that's house money, that's recovery rate, and that's all we pretty much got. I'm not going to go into the underlying value. I feel like I've been doing that every video, so I won't do that again. Obviously, some other notables of, some ETFs they filed for. I do have a list down here, filed but not launched. One I keep bringing up to them, where is it? Berkshire Hathaway. I brought it up to, my last interview. I think the last few interviews, to be honest, I really hope they launch it. Just, have some, safety. But they also launched a Berkshire 2X fund, I believe. So maybe they'll, decide to do options on that, since the IV. What's the IV on Berkshire? Do they have it here? 13%. So, yeah, I mean, that's the problem. They launched this fund. They're going to pay you a 13% yield. So would you invest in the fund even though you're only going to get a 13% yield? All right. You look at some of these others, they haven't launched them because there's nothing, they're like the eye openers, right? Okay, so here's INYY, that's Intel. Intel has a 67% IV, that's pretty good. What is this, Shoy for Shopify? Yeah, Shopify has a 57% yield. Robly for Roblox, 61% yield. Hui for Robinhood, 77%. I'll take Robinhood, that'll be a good one. Roki for Roku, I like that one too, because Roku's a great product, man. I don't know how they do as a company, but 65% IV for them. And then Carvana, I mean, this one I could freaking, I really don't. I hope they don't add this one, honestly. I don't want this in my YMax. So I know some people say they do decent, but I don't see it. I don't know. I know nothing about them. And so, obviously that's not the way to judge things, but that's just my opinion. But they do have a good IV, at least. So that being said, that's the guesstimates for Group A. And I'm going to run down the list one more time. I'm going to tell you the guesstimates. In case you're watching on the premiere and you showed up late, I'll do this for you guys. That's right, you. All right. TSLY, 88 cents, 78% yield. Again, these are guesstimates. I don't know what they're going to pay. Keep in mind, they will declare Wednesday morning, probably 6:55 a.m. like usual. So you'll have that entire day to buy into the fund and qualify for the distribution. Of course, you have to hold it until X date, which is the next day. All right, OARK, 31 cents, 38% yield. GUI, 44 cents, 37% yield. Zomo, 37 cents, 31% yield. YBIT, 75 cents, 72% yield. SNOI, 68 cents, 46% yield. TSMY, 55 cents, 36% yield. Crash, 32 cents, 69% yield. FEAT, that's right, FEAT, your smelly ass feet, 248, 66% yield. How's that for you? And then we got FIVY or FIVY or 148, 39% yield. Hey, we're not done. We got Ymax and Ymag. Hold on a second. Ymax guesstimate, 18 cents. Ymag guesstimate, 10 cents. Are you excited? How excited are you? Yay! All right, guys. As always, this is not financial advice. I am not a financial advisor. And this video is for fun and entertainment. So hopefully you had fun. Hopefully you're entertained. If not, we will do our best and try again next week at the next guesstimate video. But this video does very well. And it does very well thanks to all of you guys. So I just want to say thank you. And if you do enjoy this video, please hit the like button. If you have any questions or concerns, leave them down in the comments below. If I screwed up anything, leave it down in the comments below. Because, of course, it's very, very, very possible I screwed up something. All right? There's always one or two things maybe. Sorry. I'm coughing. I'm getting to the end. I've been talking too much. Yesterday's morning video was almost an hour. And then I had to do 2 more videos after that. I feel like I've been talking way too much. And this video is pretty damn long too. But I blame FEAT and FIVY. All right, so outside of that, what else we got? That's it. So, since it's a morning video, if you made it this far in the video and you want to prove it, you got to say the freaking keyword. So, on Sundays, on the guesstimate video, typically the keyword is you guys. You guys have to guess. You guess what TSLY is paying. TSLY, I use TSLY. Well, actually, you pick. Since FEAT and FIVY, they just started, you can pick one or all three of those. But TSLY is obviously the most popular fund. I said 88 cents. What do you think? What do you think TSLY is going to pay? You can guess what they're going to pay. You could say over, under, or you can also guess what FEAT and FIVY are paying. Have fun with it. Or if you don't want to do any of that, you can just say poop. How about that? There you go. Poop. Poop because you don't feel like guessing. You're like, screw you. Give me an easy keyword, and that easy word is poop. So now you have so many options. There you go. I'm all about giving, today. So anyway, guys, I just want to say, obviously, if you made it this far in the video, you're awesome. Thank you for watching. I do greatly appreciate it. Stay tuned. Tomorrow the market's closed. I will do a morning video in the morning. Still, probably Yield Boost versus YieldMax. I'll take a look at that again. And I am working on a retire on Ymax remake now that they're 1 year into the fund. So stay tuned for that. Hopefully I can launch that soon. All right, that's all I got. Thank you for watching and have a great day. Later.